In a small bustling town nestled between lush green hills and colorful, winding streets, there lived a young girl named Nii. Her skin was deep and radiant, the kind of beauty that shimmered under the sun like polished ebony. But Nii didn't see it that way. To her, her dark complexion was a burden, something that made her feel small and unseen. Though she was kind-hearted and always quick to laugh, something heavy lived in her chest. At school, she felt like a shadow among the other kids. Most of them had lighter skin, some so pale, they seemed to glow like the moon. They would proudly talk about their perfect skin, and Nii would just sit quietly, pretending not to care, while something inside her dimmed. She started spending longer moments in front of the mirror, silently wishing her reflection would change. Wishing her skin were lighter, brighter, because somewhere along the way, she began to believe that only then would she be beautiful. Each day, the voices of her classmates echoed in her mind. Beauty, they made it seem, was something reserved for skin unlike hers. That belief wrapped around her tightly, until she began to disappear into herself. Her walk lost its bounce. Her smile faded. She spoke less and avoided eye contact, afraid of what people might say, or worse, what they were already thinking. Late at night, when the world was quiet and no one was watching, Nii would scroll through websites and videos about skin whitening and bleaching. She didn't just want to look different. She longed to feel enough. She dreamed of the day she'd grow up and finally be able to change herself, finally become someone the world would call beautiful. But behind that dream was a quiet sadness, one she couldn't shake. Because deep down, Nii feared that she would never be enough just as she was. Her mother noticed. She was a warm, strong woman who ran a vibrant little fabric shop in the town's busy market. She'd always known Nii to be full of life, laughing, running, asking endless questions. But now, her daughter came home quieter, like something inside her had curled up and gone still. One afternoon, after school, her mother gently pulled her aside. "Nii, my love," she said softly, "what's been weighing on you?" Nii didn't answer. She just looked away, her eyes distant, guarded. She didn't know how to tell her mother about the ache in her heart, the way she felt like she didn't belong, even in her own skin. She didn't want to hurt her mother with the truth. Even her best friend, Rose, tried to reach her. "You're beautiful, Nii," she would whisper often, holding her hand. But how could Nii believe that, when every image, every voice around her said otherwise? Rose's skin was lighter too. So was everyone's. Then one day, an announcement swept through the school: there would be a beauty pageant. Excitement buzzed through the halls. And for a flicker of a moment, Nii felt something stir in her chest, a childhood dream she hadn't let go of. She'd always wanted to be a beauty queen, to step onto a stage with her heart pounding and her skin glowing like the sun. To be seen. To feel beautiful, not despite her skin, but because of it. On the day of the screening, Nii walked into the venue with a heart full of hope. She had dreamed about this moment for so long. But the moment she arrived, that hope began to fade. The girls lined up before her were everything she thought she wasn't: light-skinned, with bright smiles, perfect hair, glowing faces. Nii looked at herself and felt a sharp pang in her chest. How could she possibly compete with them? She was the only dark-skinned girl in the pack. "I don't stand a chance," she whispered, and just like that, she turned and ran all the way home. That day, Nii made a decision. She was done. She would let go of the dream. Modeling wasn't for girls like her. She'd never be the one who stood out. Never the one who shined. The next day after school, she walked home slowly, the weight of her thoughts pulling her down with every step. She barely noticed the bustle of people around her. Usually, she helped her mom at their little fabric shop in the market, so she'd go home, change, and meet her there. But fate had other plans that day. As Nii made her way through the crowded market, a street photographer happened to be there too. He was scouting for a modeling agency, just snapping photos of everyday life, the laughter, the colors, the chaos, the beauty. He caught a glimpse of Nii as she passed. One quick shot. That was it. Later, when he submitted the photos to the agency, one image stopped Miss Nina, the most respected name in the town's modeling world, dead in her tracks. Amongst the thousands of faces, one girl stood out. Nii. It wasn't just her rich, dark skin that drew Nina in. It was her presence. Her quiet grace. The unspoken story in her eyes. There was something deeper, something rare, that Nina had to find her. With her assistant beside her, she went back to the market, holding up the photo and asking people if they recognized the girl. It didn't take long. Someone pointed them to the fabric shop. Inside, Nii was folding cloth with her mother when the bell above the door chimed. She looked up and froze. Standing there, in heels and power and elegance, was Miss Nina. Nii, she said softly, with a smile, "You are absolutely stunning. Your skin, your smile, your whole presence, you're exactly what the world needs to see. Would you consider signing with my agency?" Nii stared at her, wide-eyed. Her heart was racing. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. All her life, she'd believed her dark skin made her less. That it was something to hide, something to overcome. And now, this woman, was standing here telling her it was her greatest beauty. Tears filled Nii's eyes. She couldn't hold them back. She turned to her mother and broke down. "I've always hated my skin, Mama," she cried. "I thought I wasn't beautiful. I thought I had to be lighter to be loved. To be enough." Her mother stepped forward, wrapped her in her arms, and held her tight. "Oh, my darling," she whispered, wiping Nii's tears. "You are a black beauty. Your skin is like velvet, and your heart is gold. You've always been enough, just as you are." Miss Nina stepped closer and added gently, "Nii, your beauty is a gift to this world. I want to show it to everyone. And maybe, through your story, we can help other girls learn to love themselves too." Nii smiled through her tears. For the first time, she believed it. Over the next few months, everything changed. She made her debut as a model, her face beaming down from a giant billboard in the heart of town. Her classmates were stunned. The quiet girl with the hidden pain now shined brighter than anyone. People stopped her in the street to admire her, to thank her. And little girls, some shy, some bold, began to look at their own reflections differently. Nii had become the beauty queen she'd always dreamed of, but not because of how she looked. It was because she had finally learned to love herself. She had turned her deepest insecurities into her greatest pride. Her skin, once a source of shame, now felt like armor. Like royalty. And from that day forward, Nii never doubted her worth again. She knew now that beauty isn't about fitting in, it's about embracing everything that makes you stand out. And so, our story became one of quiet triumph, of finding light in the mirror, and letting it shine boldly for the world to see. This is the end of my story.